for is deltas in behaviour, changes in behaviour. So, Jimmy the crane driver, I love that guy, is always the life and soul of the canteen. He always is the guy cracking the jokes and telling the stories, and he's sitting and he's smiling and he's not showing any obvious sense, but he's not telling the jokes anymore, and he's letting people take the conversation. That's a change. Conversely, Jimmy, who always sits quietly, eats his tea, nods affectionately, and if you talk about Wraith Rovers, we'll join the conversation. But if he suddenly starts being extrovert, if he suddenly starts hogging the conversation and talking in an almost a maniac way, well, perhaps that's also a sign. So it is the delta, it's the change that you're looking for. And that's kind of the one-size-fits-all. Look for changes. Okay? So let's roll on for another 5. No, we might answer the question while we get to the 5-second lag.
That's a good one. This is quite a pertinent question. A lot of people don't get privacy for 21 days. It's me time. Is me time just as important in the sense that people sharing cabins, working with the same guys, eating with the same guys?
On balance, I would think probably yes.
No good.
Probably yes. But if you happen to be somebody who hates being alone, absolutely pathological fear of being alone, sharing a cabin is the best thing. It's just wonderful for your work because you're always with another human being. And that might be something that really helps somebody. So, problem is, when I'm dealing with 8 billion people and their emotional health, there is no one answer. But I would say on balance, yeah, most people require at least some me time. And I don't know what facilities there are, and I suspect installations are different, whether you can or can't get me time. I suspect FPSOs are slightly worse because they're a bit smaller. But no, absolutely. This is it. So, we'll come on to this last slide. This is one we picked up, well, second last slide. This is one we picked up from Bristow's, actually, when we support them. And it comes from an Australian campaign. So if you want to look at it, and I have to say here, I think, because I didn't check it, this is not necessarily endorsed by the Samaritans. So David has looked at it and thinks it's pretty good, but that's not the Samaritans. Good enough, absolutely. And it simply says, if you're concerned about something, you've spotted a delta in the behaviour in the previous page, ask them. Now, don't just walk up to Jimmy in the middle of the canteen, slam your tray down, and in the loudest voice possible, you're a bit quiet, Jimmy, what's going on? Possibly not the best way if he's dealing with something. So we are looking for, back to privacy actually, we're looking for maybe somewhere you can get quiet, where you can ask, in case they do, not because you should be scared of a bad emotional reaction, but if they do have a reaction, for their own self-worth, if you like, you may not want somebody to actually break down in the middle of the canteen. Not good for them, because we do have all those self-images we just talked about through most of this session. But I think it is about asking the question, and you try and ask it with open questions. So again, you got a face, well, I can't say that's probably a bad word to say, but you're looking very miserable, James. What's up?
It's that conversation. It's how to start a conversation without sounding patronising or glib or whatever that term is for.
So this will sound amazing because it's in Australians, but if you go and type in, literally as it's on that headline title, "Are you okay?" Avoid the one that's hyphenated, that's the UK Kids one. You'll get to the Australian website, and there are 4 bullet points there, but asking the question, listening without judgment, encouraging action and follow-up. There is, if you go onto the website, you can click down and there's like 2 pages of coaching, advice, help and tips. There's also some buxom Australian ladies in the front with Australian suits on, but that's a different matter entirely. You shouldn't be looking at it for that reason.
They might be okay either.
You should ask them if they're okay. I think they look very... I like to say happy. You don't like me saying happy, do you? Whatever. They're...
don't dislike happy.
Yeah. But...
it's one of the 7 dwarfs.
Yes, indeed. But so's Grumpy.
And Doc.
Yes. It's a useful website, but it is about... I mean, we do... It's another distillation of how we do it at Samaritans. It's about asking open questions. It's about getting privacy. Making sure you've got the time. So, if you are a supervisor and you know you're going to have to get to the OIM's meeting in 10 minutes' time, and you can see somebody's worried, maybe it's not the best time to try and sit down and have a conversation. Now, I appreciate you can always avoid the OIM's meeting.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, I know, but there may be some things that you simply can't find the time to do. Yeah. So the important thing is to try and make sure you've got the time to listen. Listening without judgment, absolutely what we do in Samaritans, and it's very important. And if you are listening, there's two things you probably need to watch out for. One is the word I. If you are listening to somebody and much of your conversation or your content in the conversation is I, you've stopped listening and you've started telling your story.
Okay.
And that's not what you're here to do. You're here to listen to somebody and try and help them with their emotional health. And the other thing, and I'm hoping, because I'm speaking to quite a wide audience, but most people have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Good point.
It is a good point. I'm not going to be absolutely certain because I don't know who I'm speaking to, I can't see your pictures, but nonetheless, as a basic ratio, if you're going to listen to somebody you're worried about, you are looking to be listening twice as much as you're talking. You're trying to let them wind down. And if somebody's finding it difficult, they might be umming and awing a lot. And hey, I can't tell you to do this correctly because there's 2 options. One, you really leave a lot of silence so that they can finish everything they say. And sometimes they just do run out and they need some encouragement, so you have to think of words of encouragement. But on the converse, the minute they have the first 5 seconds pause and you immediately leap in with something else as they're just about to catch breath and say something else, it's equally bad. So I'm sorry, can't give you the exact right answer to this one, but listening without judgment is incredibly important. Remember, we're talking about people who are probably experiencing negative emotion about what's going on in their lives. So it is really important not to judge. And I say it's one of the founding principles of the Samaritans, and we're going for something like 64 years, is we do not judge anyone who rings us.
Yeah. So as well, I said to you the last day, if you had a broken arm or a dodgy finger or whatever it is,
yes.
you would actually do something about it.
Yes.
You wouldn't just sit there and think, that's really sore.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. People think because you can't see emotional distress or emotional issues, that's fine, I can cover it up. But usually things covered up rot.
Yeah.
And then bad things happen.
Or they get worse. Or again, so yes, absolutely, find someone. No, it's a very good point, and it is back to this Delta thing, which is why broken arm, sling, you've all got your felt tip pen markers out and you're writing rude things and drawing stuff. Great stuff. But you just can't see it with emotional health nearly so well. Unless, and by the way, by the time it gets to crying in the shower, Jimmy, again, it's probably got to quite a bad place for Jimmy.
Oh, that's a good one.
Jimmy's got over a lot of internal hurdles to actually get that far.
Right, so Jim the train driver has actually written in.
Hi, Jim!
Right. Now this is actually a really interesting one because this has been brought up in different forms as well. OIMs and supervisors have some of the most stressful jobs. How would you approach them if you were concerned about their emotional wellness? Because again, that's where those conversations get out that door.
Yeah, exactly the same way.
Threatening my superiority here.
Well, I would hope not. I would hope not. Okay, again, you know your supervisor, but maybe you take a risk. So maybe you wait for a time when they are on their own, and maybe even when they'd like an opportunity, so the OIM can't do this, but the others would like an opportunity to miss the OIM's meeting as well. You just stick, I know, I should stick your head round the door and say, just wondered how you were. I just wondered how things were going. And again, have a look at that website, because it's got some really good open ways to open a conversation. But I'd still go for privacy. But I would actually suggest, despite anybody there who thinks differently, OIMs and supervisors are by and large human beings, and therefore they have emotional health just the same as the rest of us. I mean, this is the point. It's not something peculiar to anyone. Everybody has it. And everybody's can be bad.
Would you say, the whole concept of culture, safety culture, getting into the corners of every organisation, that's the only thing that can, that emotional health is similar, that the OIMs or the supervisors actually have it as an agenda item. What's the morale in the place like? Well, you just told one they're leaving, so the morale's crap. Do they actually deal with that?
Yeah. No, I agree, and I mean, it's taken us long enough to change safety culture on the physical,
Yeah, I think that may be the problem, that we've actually spent so much time fixing the safety culture that we've actually left the people out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what you will do.
Equipment, processes, people. And we're back up at processes again because of incident. So yeah, I mean, it's culture, absolutely. I mean, if anything came out of this, even 1 or 2 installations saying maybe we need to do more about encouraging a culture of talking about emotional health.
Posters saying this is the Samaritan's number, or you can forward this.
We have sent stuff offshore. We have now got 2 minutes to go, I think.
Honestly, say I've never seen it.
No, that's fine. I'm not at all surprised. It's now 5 minutes to go. Right. So have a look at this website. It's really cool. By the way, encourage action. I would always say action is what's probably going to be required for most emotional health issues. Because even though I tell you it's how you feel about situations. And you get two choices. You change how you feel about the situation, or you change the situation. And changing the situation is always a more effective route to helping your emotional health. But somebody who's in a bad place, hi Jimmy, they might come back next trip and say, no, I didn't do any of that. Don't judge them, don't criticise them, you just have to keep supporting them. What stopped you? What might make it easier? Keep going, keep going. And you know, when we speak to people at Samaritans, we sometimes have to carry them through weeks and months of not going very far, and we don't get much feedback, but on occasion people come in and say, you carried me for 3 or 4 months, and that really got me through, because we never judge and we don't do it. Final slide, and then we'll take any final questions, I guess, and we'll take the 5-second slide. So this is really just, well, that's great, I've talked about us. I'm not here to advertise Samaritans per se, but you can see the details. 116123, UK and Republic of Ireland. So we're one movement across both countries, and that's a free phone number in both the whole of the UK and the Republic of Ireland. You can email us, as you see at Joe at Samaritans. There's a whole bunch of emails, but that's the one you use if you want emotional support. You can write to us for those who prefer pen and paper. Chris at Stirling there loves a good letter.
Good letter.
And there is a text. The text number's different. It's not free phone. So, and we'd obviously say that probably phone, if you're in a bad place, is probably a good way to go. You can drop in and see us. We're at D Street in Aberdeen. There are branches, 20 branches in Scotland around the place. Having said I'm not here to advertise the Samaritans, I would tell you that we're always short of volunteers. There's 22,000 of us, but we can always use a few more. And therefore, if anybody's listened to this and thought, I could actually do something to help other people, feel free to give us a call. We'd always like more volunteers. And broadly speaking, hey, I'm here, you've all got charity committees. We operate virtually entirely by donation. So it costs us about £40,000–50,000 to run our Aberdeen branch. Anybody who wants to bear us in mind at Christmas or whatever, feel free to give us a donation. I have a question. No. Right, the question is, if you ring the Samaritans, will you get the same person? No. If you ring the Samaritans, we would hope you will be able to speak to anybody that answers the phone. And the same way that we take calls from around the UK and Republic of Ireland, I mean, I speak to Galway, I spoke to Galway, I speak to quite a few people in Dublin, I speak to Croydon. Yeah, Dublin, they're very posh. Look, I can speak drunken Glaswegian, so I reckon I can pretty much speak any language in the two islands.
Probably true.
But I think the point would be, we would hope that every one of the 22,000 volunteers would give you the same support. Now, I appreciate the issue is, if you've gone through the story once, it's a complicated story, it's a bit of a pain to go through it again. I accept that, but we do think it's important that you get immediate support. And trust me, we've got volunteers who do 4 hours a week on average, but they're not available for the rest of the time. So we want to talk to anybody, day or night, when they have their crisis. So please, don't worry about the next person. Just speak to them. They will all have been trained the same way. And a bit of a punt, you know, we've developed this training program over 65 years or so. So we're pretty confident. It's been checked by academics and the like, and we think it's probably one that does the most good and virtually no damage. And that's about the best we can do, we reckon.
That's fair enough.
If we're helping people with emotional health.
The one thing I would like to kind of say to everybody out in internet land is, when you're offshore, allow these conversations to actually happen. So when people are sitting in the tea shack or in the smokers or whatever, and they're saying, well, such and such a thing's going on in my life, actually speak to them about it. Don't sit in the corner, please.
But I think it is, but you know, it's not easy. So I hope you've got the confidence and the courage and the knowledge now that you need to speak to somebody perhaps. But even if it's just a case, and we often say this to people, you know, if you yourself don't start the conversation, it's, have you heard about this bunch, the Samaritans, 116123, give them a call, drop them an email, there'll be people that can talk to you. Because it's a perfectly reasonable human fear that if I ask this question, I will get so much dumped in my head of this guy's life, and I don't feel able to take it. That's not unreasonable. It really isn't an unreasonable position. You don't have to feel guilty that I can't support my fellow man. Don't worry about it. You're dealing with your own emotional health, protect it. Really do, protect it. But if you do find somebody you think from their behaviour or a change needs some support, we've got a bunch of stuff on that, talk to try and think and suggest somebody they might like to try. Okay?
Nothing got to lose.
And it's like, okay, well I think we have to say thank you so much for joining us. This is the inaugural webinar, and we hope you loved it, and even more, you'll tell everybody else to sign into the next one. And please do give us your feedback.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
on you, sir.
Don't say anything rude until you're sure it's stopped.